The arts appeal to the soul. They touch those bits that just our general words can't touch.
Welcome to another edition of Take 5 with Cohesion Plus, and today we're joined by a special guest all the way from Zimbabwe via Kent, Mr. Lucky Moyo. Lucky, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. How did you survive lockdown?
Oh, I survived lockdown by playing my drums, writing songs. I've also picked up some old tires that were in my garden, and I started doing painting on them, and they've come out to be very beautiful garden chairs.
Excellent stuff. I mean, did you find it, was it a challenge? I'm guessing work must have dried up.
Work dried up, as you know that a lot of my work is in schools, community centers, immigration removal centers, prisons. And so it is the kind of places where either people were not allowed to go, or if there are any people there, no people from outside were allowed to. But guess what? There've been a few things coming up online. I did a few gumbo dancing workshops with friends in Canada and America. And yeah, the spirits are high.
For those who may not be familiar with your work, do you want to just tell us a little bit about how you started in music and dance? And I'm really interested in your journey from Zimbabwe and how you ended up here in Kent.
Yeah, I come from rural Zimbabwe, so I'm a rural country boy who used to walk to school a good, 6 miles, and then went to a boarding school and met some friends, and we started singing just for fun, really. It wasn't anything serious, but we had the Minister of Education then coming into our school, and he saw us singing, and he loved what we were doing, and he got us to play at a place called the International Trade Fair, Zimbabwe International Trade Fair. And then we had the British High Commissioner inviting us to a festival in Glasgow called Mayfest. And after that, following year, there was Australia, Denmark. Now I've done a good 48 countries around the world. And then knowing that the lifespan of music is really limited, I decided to do an MA in arts management. So I did my work placement with a charity based in Kent called Music for Change. Went to do a workshop in a school in Rochester. Loved the castle, loved the river, and before I know it, I was married to Kent.
Do you still go back to Zimbabwe now? Do you still go back and perform?
I go back to do a small festival, which has been going on for 5 years now, and it's a day of like people in the community and some friends who are musicians coming in. We do some performances, and whatever we generate goes back into the local school. They're building a clinic now, which is really at roofing level. It's a struggle raising money, but guess what? We keep going.
What impact do you think arts really has on everyday lives?
Well, the arts and sports, I always say the arts and sports go beyond our language barriers. So I might not speak Zulu, I might not speak English fluently, I might not speak any other language. But if somebody goes on stage and they start playing as a band or singing or dancing, immediately the language of rhythm, the language of really that voice or that instrument captures you and embraces you. Very different. Because South Africa, I think, is a country of maybe if I'm right, somebody will correct me, my geography there, you're talking about maybe 18 different languages or so. Zimbabwe, again, maybe another 15 to 18 different languages. And each different nation, because we don't call them tribes, they were nations, because they had their own legal system, they had their own financial, economic system, their own religions. So each and every one of those, some will play drums, some play the mbira, which I brought here. I'll show you this little instrument, which is mbira here. Look at that. So these are like metal pieces, and they are on a either pumpkin or wooden place. And but some people will just sing. So the cultures are really varied and different. But guess what? Again, when these people meet and say you get the drummers who are from the Kalanga people and the Shona people and the Shangani, when they start playing drums, they will find a common language. So they will start doing all these polyrhythms And music always, even crosses the borders. This is the thing I like about music and birds and animals. They will boja jump.
I just want you to maybe explain a little bit more about your humanitarian work that you do in Zimbabwe.
One of the simplest things that I did was I went to a cupboard sale, picked up 2 sets of like boys' football clothes, and then I took them back to Zimbabwe. I gave them to my mom, who was going to take them to the school, but the local headman wanted to get involved, and suddenly it was like this little ceremony where it was really, really something big. But what I like about that is that some friends that went to school with me were like, oh, we would like to really get involved as well. So suddenly a guy who's working, say, in a place where they have building materials, brought in a few things as well. And another guy was like, I can donate 100 ball points. Somebody was donating books. And so what we've ended up with now is a charity registered in South Africa, in Zimbabwe. We're registering here in the UK. And so a good number of people from that rural area where I come from, I think there's about 18 of us here, but also friends just from elsewhere. We meet and we have maybe like a barbecue, and people pay 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and we take all that and send it. And it means a lot because 100 pounds there will buy enough books for 2 classrooms.
In terms of you being a diverse artist, do you find that there's extra barriers and stuff you face here in the UK in terms of the arts, becoming access to, funding, access to bigger stages and performance showcases? How have you found that, and how have you kind of been able to kind of work around that?
There are challenges. Interestingly, I think I've got such a positive take on these things because there are challenges for even the Morris dancer and the English folk musician who is in the countryside because they can't go and play at the West End. They can't go and play at some of the major venues in the countryside. Some of the challenges are not really people intentionally going, I'm going to block you because you are from an ethnic background. It's because they don't know the music. They don't know the even the artistry, that is the quality as well. So I've done things at most of the really top venues in this country. So say places like Ronnie Scott's, Royal Festival Hall, Liverpool Field. So I always say that let's find an opportunity in every challenge. And for every other artist, you look at some rock stars, when they tell you their story, who are Caucasian, they will still say, you know what, I struggled. My parents wanted me to do a particular trade or a particular profession and all those things. But I would say, yes, the challenges are there, but I'm always positively wanting to engage, do positive advocacy. And I normally get encouragement from the friends that we say, normally times we have to play for free, or at times maybe for a small fee for us to introduce ourselves to certain venues and certain environments.
I'm also aware that you work in prisons and youth detention centers. What kind of reception do you get there, and how do you find the people you're working with? How do they take to you?
It is amazing work. There is one experience that I've cherished. I went into a secure place. It's a prison, won't mention the name. And I had one guy who came to my sessions for 4 days. It was a 4-day residency. He came every day, but he really wanted to look tough, almost like you can't change me. But the fact that he participated, he came into the room. So I remember even saying on the evaluation forms that they were saying those who actively participated, and I was telling them, no, the fact that this guy committed his time to come into my room, to me is enough 100% participation. And I could see that whenever we were playing the drums and singing, he was tapping his feet. Every time you looked at him, he didn't want he stiffened up. But on the last day, I remember setting up the final program now to say song number 1, number 2, number 3. And this guy came to me and he said, bro, can I do something as well? And I said, oh, of course, it's an open space. So we started playing, singing song number 1, number 2, number 3. When we came to item number 5, he came out and there he was doing his poem and a little song. And actually it was all dedicated to his daughter. And I remember him just doing that and suddenly bursting into tears. And I remember the prison officer going in to give him a brotherly felt hug. And I remember everybody almost like in tears. Even now, when I talk about it, it really, really it is emotional because you can't even capture that on an evaluation form. So for me, that was really evidence that, again, the arts appeal to the soul. They touch those bits that just our general words can't touch because they are an open space.
Lucky, in terms of advice, if you was giving advice to anyone who's kind of starting out in the arts, what would your advice be?
Well, the advice is really don't want to be a star overnight. You could be lucky. I normally say success is when chance meets preparedness, and the two really do this. Really take your time. Two, go out to some people that have been on this journey. They will tell you the sharp corners. They will tell you where it's all uphill. They will tell you where there are speed cameras. They will tell you when to slow down and go on gear one almost. Seek advice, read, but also enjoy your art form. Really, if you're doing music, really do it for your own joy. If you're doing dance, do it for your own joy. If you're painting, whatever art form, really do it for a person called you as well. Because I find that when we perform, we're all laughing and really almost like, guys, are you all good? And so we're revving it up. So it's fun for us. And then the audience will hear that communication. Because like I say, music is this thing that is beyond just what we see with our eyes. I think it appeals to, the environmental as well.
Some very good advice there from the legend himself, Lucky Moyo. Now, Lucky, just before we finish, we always do a couple of questions, and you give us the first thing that comes into your mind. Drumming or dancing?
Dancing.
Bulawayo or Harare?
Bulawayo.
Satsa or Bota?
Sadza.
Pizza or Nando's?
Nando's.
Thank you very much, Lucky, and we very much look forward to seeing you on stage very soon. Until then, Lucky, take care.